Welcome to the Funeral Arranger's Guide to Embalming. What is embalming?
Embalming is a procedure that preserves the deceased's body using sanitizing solutions that replaces the body's natural fluids.
This dramatically delays the natural process of decomposition while improving the deceased person's appearance by restoring a more natural, peaceful appearance.
Embalming allows family and friends the best possible chance of finding comfort when viewing the deceased presented to them in a more respectful and peaceful way.
Visitations to the Chapel of Rest are very personal, private moments to pay respects and say any last goodbyes for closure and acceptance of death.
With instances where there will be no viewings, having the deceased embalmed will give families more reassurance that their loved ones are getting the best possible care until the date of the funeral.
The three main principles of embalming. Presentation to prevent slow down decay. Sanitation, clean and disinfect the body thoroughly. Presentation to create a more lifelike appearance.
Adhering to these principles creates a more comforting environment for anybody attending the funeral service.
Why we embalm?
Within the funeral industry, care and presentation of the deceased has become increasingly more challenging due to many factors. Here are some common examples.
Time from the date of death to the funeral date.
The funeral service should ideally take place within 14 days from the date of death. This now generally exceeds 21 days, meaning a more extended time frame in which families can view the deceased.
Delays between the date of death to being brought into care.
These delays are commonly due to waiting for clearance from the coroner, the registrars, and the registration process in the funeral arrangements.
Where a deceased is kept within a hospital or public mortuary for around 30 days, they are commonly placed into a frozen storage unit.
Advances in medicines, drug therapies, and medical science.
Due to these advances, we are seeing an increased rate at which bodies deteriorate after death.
Delays with the coroner or medical examiners.
We are seeing longer delays in these processes, meaning when the deceased comes into care, there are noticeably significant changes to the body, such as decomposition.
How we accomplish embalming.
Embalming is achieved by injecting a customized preservative solution into the circulatory system of the body.
An embalmer will use their knowledge of the arterial system by making a small incision or incisions in order to inject the chosen artery with the specially formulated preservative solution under controlled pressure.
In case where a post-mortem has taken place, the incision made during the post-mortem examination is reopened to expose the arteries required to embalm the deceased, therefore adhering to the three main principles of embalming.
The value of embalming.
To understand the importance of achieving a positive outcome for our clients when visiting the Chapel of Rest, we first need to realize the importance of the viewing process. The families will be at various stages of grief such as guilt, anger, denial, anxiety, and depression, etc.
Seeing is believing in terms of denying death. The human psychology of viewing the body of a family member or a friend aids in the acceptance process of grief, coming to terms with the reality of death.
Embalmers will endeavor to enhance the appearance of a deceased person to achieve and restore a more peaceful, natural appearance as possible, so the body looks as though they are sleeping. We do this to combat the many predisposing factors and challenges mentioned previously. If we can achieve this, presenting the deceased in a positive way, subconsciously the bereaved persons will confront the death with peace of mind and acceptance, reassuring them that their loved one is at rest and has been treated with dignity in the most caring manner.
Embalming is a service for the living, as much as it is for the dead, as it affords extra time with the deceased with dignity.
Post-embalming aftercare.
We want our clients to have the best experience possible with us, and to achieve this, the family should be notified as soon as the deceased is prepared and advised that visitations are recommended to take place in the Chapel of Rest at the earliest opportunity.
At times, there may be clients that require visiting their loved one at the chapel on several different occasions, and these need to be managed carefully. In these situations, it will be necessary to inform the family if the condition of the deceased has significantly changed over time.
At other times, it's common that after a deceased has been embalmed, ABD prepared for chapel visits, that the first visit won't take place for a week or more. Ideally, the deceased would be laid out within a temperature-controlled environment. But despite the benefits of embalming, on some rare occasions it is possible that there may be some changes to the body over time. For example, dehydration or leakages, and there may be times where cosmetics need to be applied or reapplied.
How funeral arrangers, funeral directors, and managers can assist in guiding families about embalming.
There are many factors that should be taken into consideration when advising clients about embalming and promoting its benefits. Consideration should be given around the benefits of embalming versus non-embalming, and then the appropriate advice given around the possible consequences if the deceased is not embalmed.
Many families will from the start state that there is no wish to view their loved ones and instantly choose to not have them embalmed on that basis. However, if they later change their mind, or another family member wishes to view, chances are that the deceased will have deteriorated and more commonly dehydrated, making viewings unadvisable.
Embalming helps to keep our clients' options open, giving us the opportunity to give the deceased superior care, reducing the potential of any additional distress and regrets.
How funeral arrangers can talk to families about embalming.
All funeral arrangers develop their own ways of approaching the subject of embalming with clients. More experienced arrangers will adapt their terminology accordingly.
According to more experienced arrangers, it is generally advisable that the discussion around embalming crops up towards the middle to the end of the funeral arrangements. Typically, once the coffin options are decided and whether the deceased is to be dressed in their own clothing or a company-supplied gown. Some suggestions for introducing the subject of embalming are to follow on the next slide. Arrangers will naturally find their own mix of the suggested phrases to better suit their own style and suit the individual circumstances of the clients they are faced with.
Reference may also be made to the guidance notes regarding the benefits of embalming to give the best possible advice.
Embalming guidance notes.
In all instances,
In our professional opinion and experience with embalming, there is a charge for this service, but this is offset by the benefits of the embalming treatment.
if the deceased is to be dressed in their own clothing,
Due to changes that occur naturally after death, embalming is recommended to prevent any possible damage or soiling to clothing.
if there is a long delay between the date of death and the funeral date,
We strongly recommend that your consent is given for embalming given the timescales that are being worked towards for the funeral. This enables us to keep loved ones in the best possible condition in a hygienic and dignified way.
when there is a significant delay before the deceased is brought into our care,
Considering the significant time since loved one died, we highly recommend that you consent to having them embalmed, this being respectful to them by maintaining their dignity while they are with us.
when there is no viewing,
Embalming gives your loved one the best care, allowing us the chance of keeping them in a dignified and hygienic manner whilst they are with us.
repatriation,
In this instance, for repatriation to take place, we must inform that embalming is a legal requirement in the UK.
Final points.
Embalming is not a legal requirement. Although we strongly advocate this service, it will always be a personal choice.
It is imperative that we offer the embalming service to all families unless we have been advised that it is not advisable or possible for any reason.
We must never raise the client's expectations or make any promises before a visual check has been carried out. This certainly applies when there has been a significant amount of time since passing.
At all times, we must be open and honest to our clients regarding the condition of the deceased.
Refrigeration will do very little to control and slow down the process of decay.
Even with embalming, it can be extremely difficult to provide a positive experience for our clients. Without embalming, it is much more difficult to maintain the deceased in a hygienic and dignified manner.